sure sign of a good time. The just right taste of Bud Light. Here we go.
This is the Coach's Scouting Report, featuring Coach Rick Venturi on 101sports.com.
Hi, this is Steve Savard with the coach, Rick Venturi, getting set for the Rams and Bengals on Sunday. Let's start with the Rams defense here. They're facing a young quarterback, some dynamic young receivers. What's your thought process here?
Well, I think the thing is, the first thing you have to do is understand exactly what Jay Gruden, their offensive coordinator, is trying to do. And I think it starts with Cedric Benson, who I think is a very good runner, who tends to really run better at the end of the year. He's uncanny that way. He's a guy that really threatens you from tackle to tackle. He's what I call a start-stutter guy. He's a guy that'll start, stutter, cut it back, great vision. When you do pressure him, which I think you do, you have to have balance in the pressure because he'll find a hole from that standpoint. So I think it's very important that you get Benson stopped first. You normally always start with a running game, but Gruden understands he's got some offensive line problems, okay? So he knows he can't just throw the ball every down. So from that standpoint, I think the first thing you got to do is you got to take Benson out of the game. Now, the toughest thing you got, Steve, is this is not a game you can play a dead 8-man front the whole game. And you're gonna ask me, I know about these perimeter players because you like them, and so you're gonna have to stop the run sometime with a basic 7, not an 8 every down.
Yeah, you talk about two receivers on the perimeter. A.J. Green is a rookie, and Jerome Simpson in his fourth year, both averaging better than 16 per catch. That's the first thing that catches your eye. They got 10 touchdowns between them. And then you've got a tight end you have to account for, and Jermaine Gresham, who's on his way to a 50 or 60 catch season. He's already been in the end zone 5 times. So you have some people you have to account for.
This is a very potent offense, and it's young. With the exception of Benson, all those guys you're talking about are young and dynamic. So you're going to have to mix coverage and pressure this game. This is not a game you can say, well, I'm going to play an 8-man front every down and then go to cover, because if Gruden's going to take his shot, he's going to take him on first down. He's going to try to get Green on top of you or Simpson on top of you. So you're going to have to mix and match. You're going to have to play some double zone. You're going to have to do some different things. And then you got to be careful with Gresham because he's going to move him in and out. He'll motion him. He'll shift him out. He'll try to get on the strong safety one-on-one. Now, the one thing about coverage in the West Coast offense is basically a numbers to numbers. We saw that with Shermer here a year ago. Basically, everything is packed in. It's quarterback friendly. So you want to defense it that way. You want to make sure that you match patterns, that you create the picket fences inside. It's also a rhythm passing game. So they rely on the quarterback hitting that 5th step and the receiver being in a certain spot in a triangle being built there. So to me, two big coverages that I always liked against the West Coast offense are cover 2 where you're rerouting, where you're jamming those outside guys. Now, you got to have Laurinaitis on Gresham, but I'll take that part of the time. But you want to reroute those routes and throw off the timing. And then number 2, if you're going to play cover 1, I want to press 1. I don't want to let them have smooth entry spots from that standpoint. No easy releases. So stop the run and pack the coverage in, and then we can talk about Dalton.
Well, one thing about the West Coast offense, you don't give defenses a chance to tee off on your quarterback. We saw that with Pat Shermer keeping the sacks down last year, and Dalton's only been sacked 21 times this year, 3rd fewest in the NFL. He just doesn't have the ball in his hands very long.
He really doesn't, and that's why I think you have to disrupt on the outside. You have to force him to hold it by stuffing the receivers. You got to take his receivers away first. This is not a team you want to break on the ball. This is a team you want to stuff them. Now, when you get them in that situation, they do have some offensive line limitations, okay? They have McGlynn in at right guard. He really struggled. He came in for Williams, who's out for the season. He really struggled. Andre Smith has had trouble on the right side with injuries. His replacement's not very good. So Chris Long can have a big game. You can have a big game. The one thing that I want to do is not necessarily measure this game in sacks because the ball is going to come out. Right. But inside pressure has hurt him. If you, again, think of it this way. If the pass offense is on the inside of the field, numbers to numbers, you want to have inside pressure so that you build a wall for Dalton to have to throw over. What I've noticed lately is teams that have pressured them inside, either with push rushes or with blitzes, have not necessarily got to the quarterback, but they've affected how he throws.
The only concern here is if you're playing press coverage, you'd like it to be with Bradley Fletcher and Ron Bartell and Al Harris, not where the Rams are in the depth chart at corner.
I think the problem that you have is you just have to pick your poison, and you have to mix it, and you have to take some chances. either side of the ball. You don't have perfect matchups because this is a very complete perimeter team. It really is. So you're going to have to mix and match and do the best you can on defense.
Bengals defense has some very, very solid numbers. 7th against the run, 11th against the pass, 7th overall. My question to you, is this defense playing right now like a true top 10 defense in the NFL?
I would say that this is a defense that 5 weeks ago was. Okay. This was a defense that was ranked number 1, I think, 5 weeks ago. It's actually regressed to 7. That's still good. I don't mean it that way. This is a defense, it's a mixture of their draft choices, but they brought some veterans in. They're very well coached by Mike Zimmer on defense. But I would say, I would evaluate them as that the whole of the defense playing together is better than the individual parts. There are not a lot of ambient players that keep me up nights. The thing that I'm most concerned about is the inside, I call it the Bermuda Triangle, okay? You have Pekka, the long hair guy, at nose tackle, very tough. And he's got some range in there. And then look out for Adkins at 3 technique. He's a DeMarco Farr type. I'm not going to put him in DeMarco's class, but he's that kind of guy. Not real big, but very quick, very aggressive off the ball. I think of all their front guys, he can be the most destructive, particularly on the pass rush. And then you have your guy in the middle. Say his name for me.
Oh, Ray Malaluga.
Malaluga. I always have trouble with the name, so I brought the expert with me. Malaluga is very good in the middle. If you put those 3 guys, it's hard to just jam the ball.
You want to make him run laterally.
You want to make him run laterally. And I think their perimeter guys, you know, when you look at Howard, you know, and you look at their Sam Backer, I mean, there are guys that are veteran guys that play tough and they play tough in the box, but make them get outside for a while. Go on ahead and throw your quick screens. Run your toss cracks like you did last week. Last week, the Rams were off to a good start. They were running toss cracks with Jackson, inside whams. A week ago, they threw the quick screen. I'd like to see them package that and become their identity, particularly on first down, to move the ball that way.
The concern for the Rams, they do get after the quarterback. 36 sacks, 6th most. And the interesting thing about Mike Zimmer's defense, the pressure comes from everywhere. 14 different players have at least a half sack. You mentioned Adkins. He's the defensive tackle, tied for the lead among defensive tackles with 7 sacks. So he creates pressure. Does he do it with the blitz, or is it a 4-man?
Well, of all
it must be the blitz because there are 14 different guys.
Exactly,
coming.
And that goes back to that whole better than the parts. Now, of the one front guys, the guy I'm most concerned about, if I had to help a guy, is Adkins. His at that 3 technique, you know, whether he's on Madison or whether he's on Brown, you got your work cut out for you there. But you made a great observation. The sacks come as team sacks, okay? And they basically come from all over. Now, what Mike does, if he gets you behind an account, he'll run variations on those 3rd downs. He'll run that 4-man nickel, okay? And then he'll bring different guys. He loves to bring Clements off the edge to create a 5-man rush. Or the next play, he'll run the corner off the edge. And then he loves Brandon Johnson, who becomes their Mike in nickel situations. He'll bring him as the 5th rusher and play zone behind him. So you're going to get that mess. Then you're going to get what I call the Delta package, okay? Delta as the triangle. It's a 3-down line package, and they use Michael Johnson, you'll see him as number 93. He's a combination guy. I call him the spinner. He literally will spin around the line of scrimmage. He may be standing up one down. You may see him at the last minute put his hand in the dirt. But they're going to create then different types of 4-man rushes and 5-man rushes, and they're going to try to attack your protection. So the Rams' issue is this. When you get in 3rd and long, you have to be sharp. You might even have to concede at times. But one thing you don't want to do is those sacks fumbles. You don't want to give them those kind of advantages. This is, again, I say it every week, but this is a game of maximum protection. Clements is new to the system. The offensive line is still being patched together. They're going to have some issues. So you need some what I call fixed maximum protection, where you turn it one way, block the backs to a certain, almost like punt protection. So in effect, that you're not letting any of that garbage beat you.
That's the game plan with Rick Venturi. I'm Steve Savard.